Alright guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness and welcome to my review of Prey. This one came out in 2022. It is starring Amber Midthunder, Dakota Beavers, and Dane DeLaGuerro, and was directed by Dan Trachtenberg. Holy shit, man. First of all, finally we are at the end of the Alien/Predator series review. Took a very, very long time, but I wanted to take a second or two to just, again, thank you guys. The last review of The Predator, as much as I fucking don't like that movie, did very well for the channel. So thank you guys for everyone who showed out and checked that one out. Thank you to the new subscribers we got. Just a couple of new members of the DoD family never hurts. And yeah, dude, I'm happy with how that one turned out, and as much as I fucking didn't like that one, I really liked Prey. Anyone who saw my initial thoughts of the movie, I had just watched it, I fucking really dug it, man. I really, really dug it, and I've watched it since, just to kind of digest some things that I wasn't too sure about and just kind of really get a rock solid opinion on the movie. And overall, man, I think they hit a home run with this, dude. Now, that being said, there are some minor little nitpicks that I personally would have done differently. Do these things ruin the movie? No. No. Not one bit. If anything, it's just a Predator fanboy who is extremely passionate about this franchise. And when I see little things that are off, to me, they're a little bigger than they would be to the normal person. That being said, though, man, I think they really, really hit a home run. I think this movie was fucking incredible. First things first, let's talk about this premise. You know, as far as the comic and the extended universe is concerned, this is nothing new as far as a predator going to a different, or a predator being set in a different period of time to go and hunt a different kind of warrior instead of, instead of cops or Marines or soldiers. The fact that we get a Predator in this timeline to super diehard Predator fans is nothing new. But to average filmgoers who are just as valid, to average filmgoers, this is new territory. This is the first time on the big screen. We'll talk about that in a second, but this is the first time in a major motion picture Predator film that we've gotten anything like this. And that's a risk, man. It's a risk to kind of deviate, especially with a classic like Predator. Studios will get kind of scared sometimes when, you're talking about kind of turning an entire franchise on its head and doing something totally out there. But, they went for it. This film got tossed onto Hulu, which I don't agree with. You can tell this was absolutely made for the theater. Like, this is a theater quality movie. And, you could talk all day about, the legitimacy of streaming releases and stuff like that. I personally think it's unfair for a movie getting released onto streaming services to immediately be like, for people to kind of turn their nose at it. And I've been guilty of it too. I'm not innocent in that. But, whether it be with the recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, which I personally enjoyed. I know a lot of people didn't. That movie is fucked up in some places, don't get me wrong. But I enjoyed it for what it was. And then we get this. I think we're starting to enter a new age of film, as heartbreaking as it is for me to say. I don't think theaters are going anywhere anytime soon, but we're starting to get different, just as legitimate, options. And we could talk about that all day. Maybe that's a bonus video we do another time. But when Prey was announced, I was a little nervous. I was a little nervous. I had been burned very badly by the Predator, and anytime I get a stinker of a franchise entry in any franchise, and then they say they're going to do another one, I'm like, oh god. But you know, getting the news that it was going to be set in the setting was going to be completely different, and it was going to be a predator going up against a Native American tribe and going up against Native American warriors who are some badass motherfuckers. I was like, okay, like this is a cool, unique idea. Um, I got the news about Hulu, and I was like, oh god. But like I said, it's not like I wasn't gonna see this, So a little nervous going in, but I checked it out, man. I've watched it a couple times, and this movie really really knocked my socks off, dude. I really really enjoyed this a lot. And one thing that really works for me in this movie is the fact that it is such a simple premise, and it is such a simple story, but it's genius. Sometimes you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Sure, put your little different nuts and bolts in there, make it your own. And this movie does that for sure. But there's nothing wrong with going with something that is tried and true, but putting your own spin on it. One thing that you can always criticize some of the earlier Predator movies for doing is taking that Arnold formula and just kind of copying it. What I admire about the Predator franchise is that each entry puts its own spin on that, and this one is no different. It is 100%, a final battle between the hero and the Predator at the end of the movie. That's to be expected at this point. And when you get too much of a deviation from that formula, like the Predator, you start to see some cracks in the armor. But this movie it has so much different going for it that it's very hard to recognize some of those traditional things we've seen in these movies. I want to talk about Naru for a second, man. She's our Arnold, man. She is our Dutch of this fucking Predator movie. And I love her arc of, having this burning, deep desire to prove herself as a worthy hunter in the hunt alongside her brother, and the tragedy that kind of goes with that throughout the later half of the movie. But just seeing her chasing this goal and failing, like there are times in this movie where she just outright fucking fails. And she doesn't really have an excuse to fall back on. She just failed. But she gets up, dusts off her knees, and goes after easily the deadliest thing you could hunt ever. In a fucking predator. I just think her arc is so cool, the relationship she has with her brother, of just wanting to prove herself, and her brother kind of being that, in his mind, the voice of reason, which they could have made, as far as that character, he's another one I really like. They could have easily made him like an asshole and like a dick, but he's not a dick. He's simply not wanting to see his sister get fucking eaten by something that she's trying to kill to prove herself. He's very much of that mindset of, women are naturally weaker and yada yada, and stuff that was to be expected from the time period, But I love the fact that as this movie goes on, he really embraces the fact that, no, this woman is a hunter. And when he ultimately sacrifices himself by the end of the movie, and gives her that last motivation she needs to truly, complete her arc and become that hunter and become that warrior, to me, the story writes itself. And that's not to discredit the people who wrote this movie, because they did a fantastic job. Really, really enjoyed her arc. Really, really enjoyed the character development with her. And as far as potential sequels and stuff like that, I would love to see her come back in some form or fashion. You know, we saw at the end of the movie getting that pistol, 1719, I believe is the date. I could be off on that. Anyways, getting that pistol that we ended up seeing in Predator 2. In Predator 2, it was in the possession of the Predators. So, what happened there? I need answers. And I don't want answers in a fucking comic book. I don't want answers that I have to fucking. I want another movie. I love comic books, don't fucking get me wrong. But I want, I want stuff. I want this story to be picked up. I think there's things in this movie that are kind of left unanswered, and not. I don't think this movie, if they don't end up making a sequel to this, which is totally likely, which is totally possible, I should say. It's not like this movie is the story's left untold. Like there's story that needs to be told. I don't think that at all. I think this movie wraps up beautifully. It's just the inner Yautja mark in me. I want to see how the Predators get that pistol back. But anyways, moving on. No, her character was awesome. Like I said before, her older brother also. Fantastic performances by Amber Midthunder and Dakota Beavers. As far as humans go, they are the lifeblood of the movie. Obviously, them and the Predator. You could call this a critique. I'm not going to label it as such because I've always been of the belief that you don't need to have every character be some super fucking interesting person. But as far as the other characters in this movie, very one note. Not a whole lot going on there. And there doesn't need to be. It's not about them. It's about Naru and her brother and the Predator. And those three are basically the trinity of this movie. And everyone else is basically cannon fodder. And you have your characters that are making the sexist remarks and the asshole members of Naru's brother's hunting party. You get that kind of shit, and it's to be expected. I don't think these side characters are on the level of the original by any means. There's just not a whole lot to them. So if there's one nitpick I have with this movie, I thought, maybe you could sprinkle a little more in there. But at the same time, you run the risk of doing what the Predator did and trying to make them all funny, super badass, and this movie did not need that at all. And I'm really, really glad they didn't go that route. So it's risky territory, and I feel like they went with the safer option. It does not harm the movie at all for me. It's just something that I noticed. But yeah, man. As far as characters are concerned, let's talk about the fucking Predator. Now, we get some new weaponry in this. Traditionally you would have the scoped, not scoped, the mounted shoulder cannon. It's traditional Predator stuff. And they kind of flipped that on its head. It's more of a handheld thing, and it doesn't shoot like a plasma blast. It shoots these little fucking arrow things, like these Yandu ass fucking guided arrows and shit. And I thought that was really cool. I like the fact that we see a Predator that doesn't necessarily have all the technology that we're used to seeing. It could be that as humanity is evolving, and you could argue devolving as far as, where we're at today. But, as humanity and mankind evolves, the Yautja also evolve. Now, the technology here is still leagues away from where mankind is in this time period. And I like that they play that up. I like the fact that, when we get the laser sights being projected onto the one Native American dude, he has no earthly fucking idea what the fuck this is. He's whoa, ends up getting some arrows in the fucking eyeball and shit. And we'll talk all about the blood and the guts here in a second. Good stuff. But yeah, man, the Predator has some different shit in this. I love the shield. I love that shield being a super integral part of his arsenal, and I really liked it. I loved the look of the mask, man. Quick shout out as well to the skinnier blue tendrils hanging off the back of his head instead of the traditional black with the pieces in them and stuff. They went a different route. And I think it works, you know, it's not too much of a deviation. We'll talk about deviations here in a second regarding the character, but I thought it was cool. You know, he has a different skin tone, different build. He's a little more slender, yet more muscular. And you know, the Predator in the costume is played by Dane DeLiguero. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Fantastic performance, great Predator performance, and yeah, man, I really overall liked the presentation of the Yautja in this movie. There's one thing that I'm not super fond of, and upon rewatch, it's growing on me a little bit, and we talked about this in the spoiler free, and I did a piss poor job of trying to keep it secret what I was trying to talk about, but it's the look of the Predator's face in this did not work for me upon first viewing. I'll say that. I saw him and I was like, ooh, that's a little rough for me. That being said, and I will play devil's advocate here. It's not like we are not used to seeing different predator species, or breeds, or whatever you want to call them. You know, we're very used to the classic, you know, the classic look of the original Predator, and the fact that really in the subsequent films, really, you know, 1 and 2, and all the comics and media and shit, they've gone with that traditional look for an unmasked Yautja. Then we get Predators, which introduces another breed of Predator, which looks completely fucking different. You still get the you know, the shit and stuff like that, and this film is no exception. But structurally, the face is completely fucking different, and they took that idea with this and just went totally out there. I'm not. It just, I love the look of them, of the Berserker Predators in Predators. This one, I feel like they deviated a little far. This one has very noticeable, the jowls are much larger on the bottom, and up top they're a little smaller. And then he had, this is the worst part to me, is the eyes are like totally fucking different. Just wasn't a huge fan of the look. Also, the inner mouth is like completely, they fucked around a little too much with it. I'm okay with the idea of a predator, of the Yautja being kind of like dogs, and you know, there are different dogs that look different from other dogs, and there's no reason why predators can't be the same. I'm fine with that, you know, I'm fine with it, but I just feel like they deviated a little too far from the original. Just my opinion. Again, I mean, it looks fine. Like, it's not, I mean, it's a predator, so it's ugly, you know, but that's kind of the point. You're one ugly motherfucker, you know? But, I don't know, I just, we'll move on, but it just didn't really work for me. Other than that, though, man, I thought, you know, there are some people complaining about Naru being able to go one-on-one with a predator, and I thought the Predator was put over huge here, man. I didn't really think there was anything that overtly made the Predator look weak or anything like that. You know, obviously Naru has to best the Predator at the end of the movie. It's a fucking Predator movie. Predators do not survive their movies. It's just how it works. But with this dude, Naru really has to get crafty and really has to kind of resort to that human ingenuity. And I like the fact that this predator is shown to not necessarily be as savvy and as smart as, previous predators, and that could be because of the breed of this predator and the fact that this guy, while in the original it was much more about slowly stalking your prey and feeling them out and kind of understanding what they're all about and really dissecting them before you go in for the kill. This guy says fuck that, and he kind of gets a gist of what's going on. He goes in and he just fucking massacres people. We'll get all into that. Holy shit, dude. This guy is not playing around. And Naru really has to resort to some pretty unique tactics in order to best the Predator. Love the fact that this final battle really showcased that. I love that, at the end of the day, there's a scene earlier on in the film where she gets caught in a sinkhole, I guess I'll call it. It's like mud. It's not quicksand. You know what I'm fucking talking about. It's mud. She's gonna fucking drown in it. And she is able to use her, like, fucking axe that's tied to a rope and shit and pull herself out. But I love that she uses that at the end of the movie to best the Predator. And the fact that so earlier on she lures him into this trap, and the fact that she had all of this planned out again showcases that arc that she's been on. Is she's like, all right, now I know what the fuck I'm doing. At the beginning of the movie, she was kind of she couldn't even kill a rabbit. Then she progresses and gets better and better and better at the end. And at the end of this movie, she is able to mount. I mean, she has this thing planned to a fucking T. Uses the last French hunter, those pieces of shit. She uses the last French hunter to lure the Predator in. Fucking blows the back of his head out. His mask flies off. She takes it. Another thing about the bone mask, I like that we can see the Predator's lower jaw kind of open up under the mask. Great looking mask. I really enjoyed it. But anyways, so he goes after her. She mounts this fucking laser, or the helmet in between some rocks, and she measures it out perfectly, so that when this Predator eventually gets caught in the mud, and we get that great shot of him kind of coming out, and he goes to fire his arrows at her, and the laser scope, which those arrows are guided by that scope. So wherever, in the words of Friday the 13th Part 6, wherever the red dot goes, you bang. And sure enough, this fucking Predator doesn't even realize that the scope is right on him, fires it, whoop, and just blows his fucking brains out, man. Very inventive kill. I love that primal roar from Naru once she realizes that this thing is finally fucking dead. Super satisfying scene at the end there when she kind of brings the head to. She also gifts them the pistol from Predator 2, which I had mentioned, but gifts them the severed head of this odd looking Yautja, I'll admit. But it's still cool to just see her plop that fucking thing down. She has the blood. She has this neon green war paint on her from the blood of the Predator. Badass fucking way to cap this movie off. Really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, dude, I could go over the story beat by beat. We're not gonna do that. Please just go watch the movie. Overall, dude, I fucking thought the world of the Predator. Of Prey. I really, really thought this fucking movie was rad. And yeah, dude, that'll do it for the review section of this video. But you know what we gotta do now, baby? We gotta get into the blood, the guts, and the gory bits. We gotta get into my kill of the film. Stick around. Prey is definitely a step in the right direction for the Predator franchise. I thought that this movie did a whole lot right and very, very little wrong. Great stuff all around, dude. I hear some people saying that this is the best since the original, and there's never been a good Predator sequel until now, and I personally vehemently disagree with that, but this is one of the good sequels, man. They fucking knocked it out of the park with this one, and I love seeing everyone kind of universally loving a movie. It's very refreshing for me. That being said, one of the things that this film does very, very well is the red stuff, man, and the green stuff as well. Holy shit, we get some awesome, awesome fucking kills. I mentioned the French hunters very briefly, and we'll get into the whole forest scene, but they have some fucking great kills. Mostly, let's just talk about it. Mostly in that foggy forest scene where they're trying to lure the predator out. They're using Naru and her brother as bait, and getting to see this predator be like, no, it's not, I don't give a fuck about these people who are tied up and defenseless. There's no fun in that for me. I want to hunt you armed ass motherfuckers. And he does. He kills the fucking shit out of these people. Really, really enjoyed the him throwing a fucking bear trap and just completely snapping this dude's head. Oh, fuck. It was kind of far off, so you didn't get a whole lot of gory detail. But my god, that fucking kill was incredible. Get some good stuff with an axe, just drilling that into a guy's face. I love the little weird predator disc things that, completely fucked up those other French hunters at the end of that battle. Loved seeing those Comanche, the ones who are essentially bullying Naru and telling her that what she saw is bullshit because she had just seen a predator attack a bear. We'll get into that here in a second. Because that was the scene that really made me fucking cheer. But also getting to see this predator come down and just fuck these dudes up because they were being assholes. So it was very satisfying to see them get theirs. And that first guy, like I mentioned, getting those laser scopes and those two arrows, boom, boom, third one, boom, right in the fucking eye. Brutal shit. The other one getting beheaded, the one getting impaled against a tree. Really, really good visceral kills. That were following some really, really solid fight choreography. I really enjoyed that scene a lot. That and the foggy forest scenes, both those were really well done as far as choreography is concerned. And they were bloody as fuck, which I also admire. We get some animal deaths in this, dude. And they're fucking brutal, dude. Obviously everyone's going to talk about the wolf, and we'll talk about that in a second, but seeing a snake just go for the predator's leg, and the predator just, as soon as he goes to bite, just and just goes right through his head and just rips this motherfucker's skin off. Oh god. And then later on, Naru finds the skinned corpse of that snake, and just kind of he's just kind of squirming around and shit. I'm like, ooh, fuck. Really, really brutal stuff there. We gotta talk. And first of all, I didn't even mention this, but shout out to Naru's dog, who that was that dog's first performance in a movie, from what I hear. And holy shit, I would not have been able to tell, because that dog did fucking great. Good boy or good girl, I'm not sure. We don't ever really get any. I think it's a boy in the movie, but that doesn't always necessarily mean it's a, you know what I fucking mean. The dog did really good. What the dog doing? Anyways, what the fucking wolf doing is my question, because holy fuck, this wolf is just trying to get some dinner, and he's just trying to, just trying to be a fucking wolf, and this predator kind of, kicks him off of this bunny, which I'm pretty sure he saved the bunny, so shout out to the predator. That's fucking rad. But no, man, so this fucking wolf gets just, you know, he goes after the leg, man. He swoops the leg. He tries to fucking combat it, but man, he charges towards this fucking predator. Just gets gutted. Oh my god, this fucking thing. This poor fucking animal just gets completely gutted by the predator. And then, you know, we get that slash, rips the spine out of this fucking poor thing. And yeah, man, you know, we melts off all the skin and the fur off the fucking skull, mounts it to the belt. Another trophy to the collection, baby. Holy shit. That was fucking brutal. But speaking of the Predator's death, I thought was really, really inventive. Mounting the biomask on in between a couple rocks and basically turning the Predator's technology against him. Genius fucking move by Naru. Genius writing as a really unique way to kill off a predator. She didn't just beat his fucking face in or anything like that, which would have been fine, but the fact that, you know, they put over the predator so strong and she has to really resort to her intelligence to beat this thing. Really nice touch there. I really liked the predator's death, but easily for me, the kill of the film is going to go to the one French hunter who, you know, the predator grabs him up by the throat, and obviously he has that shield that kind of fillets out, you know, does that little thing, you know what I'm fucking talking about. But the one guy comes at him with an axe, takes the axe, flips it, bam, right in the head, good stuff there. But then he looks back at this fucking guy, he just has him by the throat, and we see that, you know, this guy's trying to fucking shoot him or something. I think he has a knife or a gun or something. But the predator's like, alright, motherfucker. Okay. So he activates his shield, and this thing just wraps around this fucking guy's neck. Not wraps around the neck, I shouldn't say that. Fucking just completely fillets this guy's fucking neck. And just cuts his head off like a knife through butter. Holy shit. We get that awesome scene where it also takes out the awesome shot, I should say, where it takes out the tree as well. So you just get another shot of the predator with just blood just spurting out of this guy's fucking neck. And I'm like, oh my god. Great fucking kill. That's the one that, you know, a lot of those deaths in the foggy forest, which we'll call it, which sounds so stupid. But a lot of those deaths were really fucking solid. But that one for me was like, oh my god, this movie fucking rules. But yeah, guys, that'll do it for Prey. Awesome movie. It felt really good to get a really good, solid Predator film for the first time, in my opinion, since 2010. Yeah, dude, 12 years since we've had a good Predator movie. So, it was awesome to see this, dude. I love it. Next time on Days of Darkness, we are done reviewing the Alien and Predator series. But we still have to rank them. So next week, we are going to be doing the official Days of Darkness ranking for the Alien and Predator films. That'll be, you know, spurring a lot of discussion, I'm sure, and rightfully so. I'm looking forward to all that. But yeah, man, we're going to be ranking the Alien movies, the Predator movies, AVPs, all that stuff. Yeah, man, so that's going to be fucking rad, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys. But until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep watching horror. Alright, guys, have a good day.